Hi everybody, Billy from Billy's Bike Adventures. Thank you for tuning in today and watching the video. Today I'm going to be talking to you about two of my motorcycle adventure helmets, the infamous Arai Tour X4 and the Airoh Commander. I'm going to talk about some of the pros and cons of each of those helmets and tell you which one I prefer riding with most of the time. If that is of some interest to you, keep watching and let's get into it. Don't forget to click the red subscribe button, the bell notification and then all to make sure you don't miss out on any updates. So let's talk about the Arai Tour X4 first of all. So let's talk about construction of this. I'm not going to go into all the details. There are far too many details around the construction of this helmet to list online here. So I highly recommend that you go to the website. Needless to say, this is an extremely well constructed helmet. Really safe, solid helmet. Does not have an internal sun visor that flips up and down. So that for me is one of the better safety features of this, because with helmets that have the drop down visor internally, I just wonder what those manufacturers are giving up on safety to be able to have that drop down visor. So that for me is an initial concern, but overall this is an extremely well constructed helmet. And that's reflected in the price as well, right? It's one of the more expensive helmets, but it is extremely well constructed and very safe. So you should feel very confident, and when you're wearing one of these, you should be really confident that you're wearing one of the better safety profile helmets out there. So really nice helmet. In terms of ventilation on this helmet, I don't know where to begin. It's almost as complicated as the construction of the helmet. So let's talk about the rear of the helmet first. So underneath the back here, you have a neck vent. So as the air rushes in and through the top, you get some evacuation of the air here as well. So you've got a neck vent there. You've got two side exhausts, one here and on the other side here as well, enabling again the evacuation of the moist air coming out of the back of the helmet. And you've got two diffusers on the top here, and inside here you've got settings just for closing the holes that sit on top underneath here, or having them open. So you've got the settings there as well. So that's the rear of the helmet. Let's look at the front of the helmet now in terms of ventilation. You've got the chin vent, the outside chin vent. That's on this helmet. It's just got the one setting. You've also got the two chin vents on either side as well, and you've got the two setting vents up here as well. That's for at eyebrow level. So that's the top of the visor. So all in all, oh, actually, the other thing as well, you've got two vents that sit on the top front of the helmet here as well. And again, they have a setting for on and off there as well, or closed or open. So all in all, I think you'd find it very hard pushed to get this helmet to mist up with all the vents open. Really well ventilated. One of the best helmets I think that I know of that for ventilation. So really good. And with the internal pinlock visor, you shouldn't have any issues with this helmet at all in terms of it misting up. So let's talk the weight of this helmet. 1,767. I've just put this on my home scale. So 1,767 grams. Pretty heavy to have this on your head all day. If you're going to be on a tour, multiple days, you could get some neck soreness with this helmet. So it is quite heavy. I have used this over a multiple day trip, and it hasn't been too bad for me personally, if I'm honest. But it is one of the heavier helmets as well. So the peak is also adjustable as well. So you've got the lower setting for the peak, and you've also got the slightly higher setting. Now, one of the things about this peak on this helmet is that I don't think for me it's very well vented, unfortunately, either on either setting, the higher setting or the lower setting. Now it has these two vents in the peak at the top, but it doesn't do enough, and obviously as well as the gap between the actual top of the helmet and the peak as well. It doesn't do a good enough job with the aerodynamics. So what I find is that when I'm riding, if I'm going to turn my head to do my safety check, I get a little bit of pullback just as the wind catches the peak. So the peak for me is not vented enough to stop this kind of pullback that you get from the peak catching the wind. So that's one of the downsides for me with this particular helmet. It's that peak. A couple more vents in there, and I think it would be really good. I also have the dark tinted pinlock visor in here as well. Just makes it look really, really nice helmet. So overall for me, it is a superbly built helmet, really good quality, and that is reflected in the price. £521 for this helmet from the Sports Bike Shop, and so it is on the premium side of helmets, but very, very safe. It is heavy compared to the Airoh Commander that I've got, so it is heavy and it is one of the heavier helmets, but the safety is second to none, really, really good. So overall, I really like this helmet. It's been a superb helmet for me. It is a bit heavy. I haven't really noticed that too much for me. The view that you get from the visor, it's pretty standard. The Airoh Commander, I'll go on to talk about it a bit in a moment, but the Airoh Commander, it has a broader view out of the helmet. You can also take the visor off on this as well and wear goggles with this helmet, so that's another added advantage as well. If you want to take the visor off, you can do, and wear goggles with it. Works perfectly fine. I think for me, the only thing I don't like taking the visor off is that when you're in riding in warm to hot weather, you get a lot of flies getting trapped inside the helmet, and I just find that really annoying as they get stuck and they crawl around the back side of the helmet and inside your ears and things like that. I find it really uncomfortable and annoying. So I don't tend to like wearing goggles with these helmets too much if I'm on a touring trip, but you can do that if you want to. So overall, really, really good Arai Tour X4 helmet, extremely well vented, one of the best helmets I think I know about for the ventilation, so brilliant on the ventilation, and a nice looking dual sport adventure helmet. So that is the Arai Tour X4. So let's talk about the Airoh Commander, really nice looking dual sport adventure helmet. Let's talk about the weight of this compared to the Arai Tour X4. So the carbon design, so the carbon patterned Airoh Commander is 1370 grams for your weight. All other designs outside of the carbon design is 1430 grams, so 1430. Now compare that to the Arai Tour X4 at 1776 or 1756, something like that. I can't remember what I said, but over 1700 grams compared to this at 1370 or 1430 for the non-carbon designed. Makes a lot of difference on your head, and actually in terms of feeling the weight, it's much nicer to have on your head. Very, very comfortable to have on your head. So that's one big plus for me, much, much lighter. The other thing is, which is really noticeable, is the view that you get from the visor. So this is a broader view that you get out of this particular helmet, and it's especially noticeable when you're doing your safety checks, when you're turning away to do your safety checks. The view that you get out is absolutely fantastic. So I really like the fact that you get a broader view. Now, I don't know what that does in terms of compromising on safety just by having a slightly broader view on the helmet. But for me, it's a balance of safety. Are you safer by having a more broader view so that you can see more to the side of you, or are you safer having less of a broader view and having slightly more stability in the shell of the helmet? So I'll leave that one to the tech heads, but for me, the fact that I can see more out of this visor, the broader visor, is really, really nice. So that we've talked about weight and the visor. Let's talk about the peak of the helmet. Now I mentioned with the Arai Tour X4 that the peak is not that well ventilated, and I get some pullback with when the wind catches it sometimes. I have to say this peak on this helmet is brilliant, really well ventilated. You've got 6 vents, so 2 each side here and 2 on top here. So, and that is enough to give it some really good ventilation so that it doesn't catch the wind and it doesn't like pull your head back. And that for me is really important. I don't like the comfort, especially with the weight of the Arai Tour X4 as well. You add in the fact that the peak catches the wind, it does for me anyway, and it just makes for a little bit more of an uncomfortable riding. So the peak on the Arai Commander does a really good job in venting the wind and does not catch the wind at all as far as I'm concerned. So, so that's really, really good. Let's talk about the ventilation of this helmet. So this is one of the downfalls of this helmet that I found in the, what, 3/4 of a year or almost a year now that I've owned this. I know that I've not been able to ride out much, but I have ridden it enough to know that this is not as well ventilated as the Arai Tour X4. So you've got a chin vent at the front, 2 settings at the front. There's no other vents in the front of this helmet at all. You do get a vent at the top here, and that's got 2 settings there as well. And you get vents on the top of the helmet as well, at the top. And that is about it. You get some neck venting here as well. But in comparing this to the Arai Tour X4, it's got half as much ventilation compared to the Arai Tour X4, and you really notice it. So I've ridden this a number of times, and for me, I don't know why, but it's as I'm looking out of the visor, it's the right hand side of the visor that mists up for me. And since putting in the Pinlock visor, or the Pinlock insert, it's helped a great deal, and it doesn't mist up anymore. But without it, I would get misting on the right hand side as I'm looking out of the visor. And that's particularly annoying for me. Don't like it at all. So it doesn't vent as well as the Arai Tour X4. The other thing for me as well is the internal sun visor. So actually a nice little feature. Let me just push that down. So that's the internal sun visor on the Airoh Commander. Now, really nice little feature. Does a brilliant job, does exactly what it's meant to do. So if you don't want to use a Pinlock insert, I've got a tinted Pinlock insert on this helmet. Now the reason that I've done that is because I don't actually like the internal sun visor on this helmet. I've tried it a good number of times and it just doesn't agree with me. The other thing is as well is that the internal sun visor mists up as well, regardless of whether I've got the Pinlock insert in or not. So that's the one big downside for me, is that the internal sun visor does get misted up sometimes, and that's quite annoying. The other thing for me is that I just find it annoying. I feel a little bit claustrophobic with it being so close to the face. I know it's supposed to be like wearing sunglasses, but it's actually not. It doesn't feel that way for me. So I actually don't like the internal sun visor on this, and I probably wouldn't like the internal sun visor on helmets that have those as well. So whilst I still like riding with this helmet, I won't be buying another helmet that has the internal sun visor. I just find it annoying. So on this helmet, I'm not going to be using it. They're going to stay up, and I've bought the dark smoke Pinlock insert for this helmet so that I can just ride comfortably with that darkened look on the helmet, and it looks really, really nice as well. One of the things I forgot to mention about the vents is that this helmet has a number of settings, so that's not locked at the moment. That's it locked now, and when you have it on the non-locked setting, you've got some upper chin vents in the top of the mouthpiece here as well, so that helps with some ventilation. But to be honest with you, I don't find it's enough to stop the helmet misting up. And I like, the whole purpose of having a lock is that so when you're riding at speed, you feel secure with it being locked, and I like to have the visor locked. And so without the Pinlock insert, this helmet for me will mist up. Another great feature about this helmet is that it's got a chin curtain underneath. So that's detachable, but it's just got a chin curtain, so an extra bit of material that just sits underneath the chin there and helps with a little bit of wind protection. And of course, if you're a motorcycle vlogger like I am, and you've got your microphone in there as well, it just helps with a little bit of wind block. Now, the Arai Tour X4, I forgot to show you this. The Arai Tour X4 does have a chin curtain, but it's rubbish. It pulls down like that, but it doesn't really stay down. It doesn't click into place when you pull it down, and so it doesn't take much for it to pop back up. It's not as good as the chin curtain on the Airoh Commander. Much, much better chin curtain on the Airoh Commander. Out of the two, both of them, I think this is a better looking dual sport adventure helmet. I think it looks much nicer, and I've got, for me, I've got a big chin, a big jaw. I've got a bit more space at the front of this helmet. These are both extra large in size, and I get a bit more space at the front of the helmet, the chin area, than what I do with the Arai Tour X4. So overall, I still prefer to ride with this helmet. broader view on the visor, on outlooking. It's lighter sitting on the head as well, and I think it looks a nicer helmet compared to the Arai Tour X4. Now online at the moment I can find this for about £220. That's one of the cheaper. That's from Forever Moto, and the price will vary a little bit as exchange rates change. I actually bought this for £216, so exchange rate hasn't changed that much. So you can get quite a good deal for 220, or about 220 quid for this helmet. As I said, the Arai Tour X4, 521, 522 pounds right now. But the difference in quality is in the build. So this is a full carbon composite helmet, but because of the internal visor on this, I do wonder what safety or what level of safety has been compromised to house the internal visor. The Arai Tour X4 doesn't have it, and you can tell it's a much better quality build. Links in the description below to go to these helmets individually, and you'll just see the difference in the quality of the build. That said, I still feel comfortable and safe in this helmet. Famous last words, right? But I really do. It feels light, it's nice, feels safe having the broader view, and it's a really nice looking helmet as well. So that's my review of both the Arai Tour X4 and the Airoh Commander helmets. All the technical stuff, I haven't gone through it too much in detail, but I have gone through the some of the features and the benefits and the pros and cons of both of the helmets. I do like both helmets. I would prefer to ride with this one if I was out all day or on a multi-day tour versus the Arai Tour X4, purely because of weight, and you get a much better view out of the helmet. So any questions or comments about the review of the helmets today, do let me know and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Links in the description if you want to have a look at the helmets. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you again very soon.